bright mind by the name of Diane Ravish once said, sometimes the most brilliant and intelligent mind do not shine in standardized tests because they do not have standardized minds. We have all gone to school and taken tests, but if we really think about it, how much do we really know? Do we remember? Now, out of show of hands, who knows when the Civil War ended and started? Exactly my point. A piece of history that we all remember, that we've all been taught in our lives, all of our lives, and no one can answer. This is the fault of our education system. Now, from personal experience, I've dealt with standardized tests most of my life because I did go to a public school. Now I've had friends who did really bad in high school exam, but when they hit college, they excelled well beyond that. Now, the significant problem is our education system, and is caused by standardized testing. And a way to solve it is to teach our kids a different kind of way. Now, moving on to the problem in hand. Our education system makes our students not a better future for ourselves, but they make better test takers than better citizens. Now, many schools in the United States actually are making kids better good test takers. But in 10 years, are we really going to need good test takers, or are we going to need people who are good citizens? Because in 10 years, we're not going to need to know how to find the slope of a graph. Now, in a Huffington Post by an active 18-year-old high school student, she said, and I quote, "If you ask me how to write a check or how I'm going to pay for college, I couldn't even tell you or even start where to tell you." End quote. This is a personal account of how our education system is not preparing us for life. And many young adults are facing problems like this just because our education system failed us. According to Kelsey Sheehy from the U.S. News, high schools are now preparing students with skills and knowledge necessary to excel after graduation. And only 1 in 4 high school student graduates are college ready in the 4 core subjects, which is science, math, reading, and English. Now, I can personally say, as a college student, that I am one of the 3 out of 4 that was not college ready. Now, the education system is using standardized tests to take away from the success of the child. The reason why I'm so bothered by this is because I personally have felt some frustration of studying for tests, for going into a test and saying, this is my future, and if I don't pass, I will fail in life. Now, that's a huge amount of stress. Even for 3rd graders, as young as 3rd graders, and that's huge, huge stress. Now, a professor of mine by the name of Joseph Fonseca in Palo Alto once told me, telling a kid that if you don't pass the test, you won't go to the 4th grade is devastating. Because you're giving a kid the sense of stress that no one should feel until they're older. Now I'm going to move on to what causes the problem. Of course, the education system. The funding goes all to the wrong reasons. Now, in a Florida district, the Washington Post talks about how the district is using the money not for student development, but, and I quote, merely maintaining testing requirements. In order for the test to be beneficial, it compares the student's test to other schools, but from a Oxford Learning blog, many parents say they would rather have their child thrive than have their kids' test being shared. Now moving on to what I believe can solve this problem without taking away from the schools and government. In order for us to stray away from the standardized testing, we need to change the way we teach our children. Now, of course, we need to change the system in hand. So schools are funded by how successful a kid is in a test. And instead of using that, because not always the kid is going to succeed, but regardless, the school is going to get paid. But the child stays harmed instead of the school. Now, in my way, the school will still be funded by the child's success, but instead by the way the high school students actually graduate, actually walk the stage. And in order for this to happen, like we just need to take further steps. And with the funding of high school students actually graduating and walking the stage, the possibilities are endless. Like kids could be creative now. Teachers could teach the topic they were taught in college instead of teaching for the test. And now children wouldn't feel so stressed as young as the age of 8. Now in conclusion, the education system is now preparing our children for the future itself. And standardized testing shouldn't classify a kid who they are. I think it should be their morals and skills. The cause of the problem is the misuse of standardized testing by the government. And the solution, I believe, would be to fund schools a different way by the rate of graduates that actually walk the stage and go off to college, of course. The significant problem is our education system and is caused by the standardized testing. But it may be solved by changing the way we teach our children. I leave y'all with this quote by Nelson Mandela, and I quote, "Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world," end quote. So why standardize it? Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah.
How long is it supposed to be? 7 minutes.